I bet she does. Yeah, you're giving me a lot of credit here.
And we're to get a plaque that says restored by Hayes.
No. You're giving me a lot of credit here.
I would never even offer to do that, so.
Well, I'm going to do it. It's going to take me a little longer than expected. I'm going to need some over back here. It's going to be really nice.
You know, her help. She's very artistic.
You know Kelly? You're pretty good at that stuff, isn't she?
She doesn't really do that kind, but
We thought about
she
renaming
could
it
probably
sewer
get
use
some names of
manual.
people. There
Kelly's
was a
good at stuff
young,
like
yeah, I know many. She did a lot of Royal City. She
No,
did-
it's a different one.
Oh, it's not.
She has the tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's really
Yeah.
artsy and
I don't even have
stuff.
enough to find a copy,
So I couldn't.
because I didn't want to print one if I wasn't going to have it.
You got your extra wand.
Shoot, I'm trying to read what I'm supposed to even say. Right?
Anybody who's up to the challenge to read all that gets my,
Nice for reading. But I was reading this. I don't think that's the same thing as this.
no.
I think they're different, yeah. So I was reading the wrong one. So,
Well, and, I told Brenda, she wanted to know what we should do. I said, tell them to bring the Cliff Notes.
yeah.
Really, what we're voting on. It's the fines and penalties. That's the only reason they have to get our approval for it.
All right, 5:30, I'm starting. All right, it is 5:30, so we will start the utility committee. And we're going to talk about the sewer use ordinance. We're just gonna let you take it away.
Okay. I brought Jackson Wisely with me and Holly to talk about the sewer use ordinance. They'll give you a brief description what it is.
Yep. So, good evening. Thank you all for your time. The sewer use ordinance is, in its essence, obviously a long document. There's a lot of verbiage in
Did you
there.
read it?
You wrote it.
Did you read it?
To be fair, I did not write it.
Oh, I thought you
I
two
did
wrote
not.
it.
We did,
I
so
knew he didn't write it.
we use, no, yeah. We used a consultant, so we have a consultant, Commonwealth Engineering.
Okay.
Commonwealth and us did a page turn rendition of this sewer use ordinance. So every page, well, I can't take all the flowers. Holly spent a lot of time. Holly is our MS4 stormwater and industrial pretreatment coordinator. The sewer use ordinance is the document that sets all of the contaminant levels, the concentration levels that industry and sewer dischargers are legally allowed to discharge to us. The industries in the community are if they are a significant industrial user, they apply for an industrial user permit. That permit is then governed through the enforcement response guide that takes the concentration limits that you can find in the sewer use ordinance. Some of those concentration limits are updated from the last rendition of that. Those updates came from a local limits evaluation that was done. So we had composite sampling done of our waste stream and composite sampling done of the industries in town to establish a new set of local limits that then are reflected in those limits that you see in that sewer use ordinance.
So how many of these do we have, Jackson? And is there like two categories or?
Of industrial users?
Yeah.
Yes, there used to be, Dave, so that is partially correct. We used to have SIUs and NSIUs, so that would be significant, and the N was a non-significant. And what we classified as a non-significant was typically a low-volume, low-risk industry that still had potential due to their process, if they had a large upset, that they could create some sort of disruptance at the plant or in the collection system. So we monitored those. We also went through a industrial pretreatment audit from IDEM this year. And during that, IDEM made us aware that the EPA and IDEM do not recognize non-significance. So we were forced to eliminate the non-significant and change all of our industries to significant. And we did drop a couple of the industries that were non-significant off completely, via track record of long histories of compliance with no incidents, so we dropped them off just to save the burden of them and us. And some of the other ones that were non-significant, we kept them on and then changed their verbiage to significance, so now they are under the same scrutiny and the same compliance of a significant industrial user.
So where in this report do we read who are significant?
You
Where in
won't
our
read
report
that.
Do we read that?
You won't read that in the sewer use ordinance, so that is left to us as a utility. The sewer use ordinance only gives us the language to govern those industrial users.
Okay, can you please send me a list of our significant users? Because I'd like to read what those industries are.
Certainly.
Okay, I'd like
Yep.
to see that.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Will you make a note of that, please? Yeah. Yep. And one thing that the significant industrial user change does is a significant industrial user is responsible for compliance, and if they reach a level of significant non-compliance, they get NOVs or a notice of violation if they exceed those concentration levels that are in that document. And then as a significant, they get publicized in the paper at the end of the year. So if they have a certain number of violations, they become a significant non-compliant, and then they get published. And the notice of violations allow us to surcharge them for their flows that exceed those limits in that document.
And how often are they tested?
Depends on the industry. Holly was formerly one of our lab technicians who actually does the physical testing, and now she, being the industrial pretreatment coordinator, she reviews those analytics and issues the NOVs and surcharges, so she could tell you probably off the top of her head which industry and what the frequencies are, but
We test every quarter, and we test a monitoring and a contract, which means that the first month of the first quarter, we monitor them, so we use that information only for us. That third month of the quarter, we go out and we test them, and then it's a contract which we make them pay for their testing to confirm that the data is relevant to what we tested in our monitoring. So
Okay.
they're tested twice per quarter.
But the first one is just a data collection?
Yes.
The second one is?
Yes,
All right,
and there
But-
are 9 industries that we have on the list for you.
okay.
and then those costs are also, all of the cost of the pretreatment is rolled into, it is kept on a total, and part of the process is the user charge fee, so all of the significant industrial users at the beginning of the year will pay a 1/9 equal share of the cumulative cost of the pretreatment program as part of their permit issuance for the next
So
year.
they now cover all the costs.
They cover, it is a break-even program for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know in the past it had been lopsided. You were
Yeah.
covering part of that.
Yeah, we no longer subsidize the industry through common ratepayers offsetting that.
You evaluate that every year, don't you?
Every year, yeah, so month by month, and then at the end of the year, we total the complete expense of the pretreatment, all of the input of the pretreatment, whether it's a monitoring or a compliance sample, those all are part of the pretreatment expense, so all of that gets added into the total.
Very good.
And it's charged a year in the rears, Dave, so the 2026 user charge fee will reflect the 2025 expenses, for
Okay.
example.
Have anyone that you consider to be somebody that we should be looking at or paying attention to? Not us, but you should be, do you like have a
Yeah, we
system?
have a couple of industries that are under significant non-compliance, and we have compliance agreements with them to change their current industrial pretreatment systems and force them into upgrades. And so That is something that you'll find in the enforcement response guide, the ERG that comes off of this document, gives us really the teeth to enforce that, if you will. And the teeth that we have to enforce that, there's a system and a method in place, but, the easiest is the NOVs and the surcharges. So those NOVs, some corporations have a very high social regard for NOVs because it demonstrates some environmental disregard. So you'll see that a lot with larger corporations like a Tyson or a Waste Management. They are really sensitive to those NOVs.
Well, I would like to see the list of the nine industries. I'd also like to read your NOV. So if you could send that to me, your notice.
Just an example of an
Yeah, just
NOV?
an example.
They're different, so it depends on the violation, but we can send you an example of
I
what
just want to
an...
read I just want to read the verbiage in your notice. Thank you.
Certainly.
If somebody's in non-compliance and they're dumping stuff in the sewer and that affects your plant, you're just going to fine them, correct?
We do what?
You're just going to fine them for dumping the stuff in there?
I mean, that's part of the process.
Okay. How else are you going to enforce that?
So it's systematic. First off, they get a surcharge based off of the exceedance of the concentration limit. And if that exceedance is over a certain amount, they get a notice of violation in repetition. And in significant noncompliance, that financial impact can be burdened very heavily. So in a certain sequence of events, a common NOV would say be $2,500 a month. But in a certain set of significant noncompliance, we can find $2,500 per violation per day. So if they exceed in, say, 4 contaminants, we could sample them every day and fine them $10,000 per day per occurrence. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, and that's the structure that the enforcement response guide is tiered.
Shut their sewer?
There's
Yeah.
legal
Yeah,
action.
there's some more documents that start with the word whereas that get to that, but
Just to dump stuff down the sewer?
No.
I don't care.
no.
How are you going to stop me? By fining me?
Yeah, well, eventually that legalese is going to come in. Yeah, we would not tolerate that, certainly.
Certain time you're going to take them to court?
Yeah, and IDEM would step in too. They would.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do with the money that you get from is that your money, or is that, what do you do with?
Well, the money is typically structured, so it changes things for us also. So if somebody, say, slug loads, what we would call that a slug load, they discharge a large slug of a contaminant to our plant. There's a burden that comes with that also. So fats, oils, and grease, for example. If you get a large slug of fats, oils, and grease, it's hard on pumps, it's hard on lines, and there's a lot of back-end work and increased expense to correct that. And then once it gets to the plant, to treat that, both biologically and the chemicals that it takes to remove that before it's then returned back to the river through our effluent, all of those costs go up. Now, it is hard to quantify the exact cost of that, because if you have a 10,000 gallon discharge and we have 6 million gallons that came into the plant that day, by the time it gets to us, it's hard to identify and separate exactly how much each gallon of that costs.
So your point is that you just keep the money because it costs you more money to process?
That's correct. It offsets the burden on the system.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us, part of the reason that we have to approve this is because the changes in the fines and penalties, are they in sync with, like, state guidelines, or
There is state guidelines, there's
change
state,
from the previous years, or are they the same, or?
so the financial burdens that come of this are consistent with what they were in the past. What we changed was some of the concentration limits, so it will open, we didn't change any of the financial ramifications of the document.
So the fines and stuff are the same as they
That's
were
correct. The
before?
fines and the surcharge rates are the same by the multiplier. But when you change a concentration limit, when you lessen a concentration limit by default, if they discharge the same amount, then that surcharge rate can then be higher because the exceedance would be greater. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yeah, so were these adjustments made to be in line with like state standards and EPA standards? Is that what?
Yes, and yes, so that's why we bring a consultant in like Commonwealth to help us with that, because they have a much broader view and they have a large customer base and they're very in tune with what other communities' local limit standards are, what other communities' billing rates are, and they can give us a set of averages and give us recommendations to fall in line and stay consistent with both regulatory guidelines and our peers.
When was the last time we had a full update?
23,
For a full 23?
For local limits, yes.
Oh, local limits, yes, 23.
So 2023, and it was an ordinance then, we kept it an ordinance now. And I said to Kelly, since we weren't changing anything financial, why do we have to do it? And he said, because you've done it that way.
Yeah.
So I took his guidance.
Fines, costs.
Yeah, because it has financial commitment to it.
So this may be a silly question, but
No, sir.
have you been able to see a difference like in the lead concentration in our water system with all of the lead line replacement? Has there been any significant change in that level of what comes into the plant, the level of lead that's in our water? Because I saw lead was in one of the chemicals in your list. I was just curious if you can see any difference in that.
So the lead contamination that you would see, or the lead concentrations, we haven't noticed much of a difference in our wastewater discharge and what our influent is. I don't know, certainly there's a difference, Dave, but I don't have that number just on recall.
I was
off the
just
top of my
curious if
head.
it made any kind of a significant difference in the testing results for that particular item.
I could certainly look at that and get you an answer on what the whole plant view looks like.
That-
Yeah,
You know, because it's a huge deal that you're doing with the lead line, so I just
yeah.
curious.
It's a legacy project
Yeah.
for us, for the
So-
utility in this town, certainly.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? So like they said, we have to approve this because of the fines. That's why it has to go through city council. So good to go on for December?
Is there any questions? We would like 2 readings of that.
In December.
Yeah, is there any questions?
To suspend the rules in December.
suspend the rules and have it pass in December, is that what you want?
Yeah, it would really, that would align with EPA's temporary approval and recommendation with us to have that completed in 2025. So if we could, we would greatly appreciate that, would be our.
I have 2 meetings in December just because we're still waiting on some insurance numbers too that we need to get passed. But if, either way,
Okay,
we can get it done in December,
you.
I would think.
thank you so much.
You have to have 2 council meetings in December?
I was hoping to have insurance numbers tonight, but we still haven't got them.
Okay, well, can we be sure it's on a Monday? I'm taking a little,
Okay, any other questions about this?
Take orders for dates later.
Get your reservations in, right, Susie?
they're already in, that's why I'm asking.
All right, we'll
All
close
right.
the utility committee meeting at 5:46.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you all.
much. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Yep.
Newspaper yet. Well, there's some options that we have for publication.
Oh, right, yeah.
All right, I'll start the Rules Committee meeting at 5:46 PM. First thing on my docket is a fireworks ordinance that was sent to me. Kelly, I would like to get your opinion on it.
I sent you mine. I think it needs a heck of a lot of work.
Right. My concern with it is we've already got an ordinance in place that if somebody's doing fireworks and they're doing them in an unsafe manner, that we have a system in place, you know, to send the police out or the fire department, excuse me. Do we need to add to that?
That part I have not gotten into. I just reviewed.
Right, the verbiage.
Said, you know, this is kind of a no-starter in many ways.
Because my thought is, we already have problems with enforcement. Now we're telling all these people along the parks, when we're having an event, you can't have fireworks. it's an enforcement nightmare, I gotta think, for the police department,
Yeah, there's
trying to go out and enforce, so.
definitions, how far away from the parks, and it's only in the neighborhood of the parks.
Right, it's within 500 feet of the park, which is pretty much everybody that's gonna be aligned around the park. So now we're telling them, you know, you can't have fireworks per se, you know, if somebody complains, you're gonna, you know,
I think we need to define what the problem is we're trying to cure, which was
Right.
apparent, and then two, then put it together.
Just a picture of Riverside, the map. How 500 feet
One of the
goes by.
questions I had is, it says down there under enforcement, it's the responsibility of event organizers to ensure compliance. Failure to do so may result in immediate cessation of activities and possible legal action. So if you're outside of the event area and you're shooting off fireworks, I mean, the way I read this, says, I mean, I don't understand that part of it, I
They're gonna
guess.
cancel the fireworks.
Where did this come from? Who wrote it?
it was sent from the mayor's office to me. So,
That was the question, I mean, one of the questions I had, and I don't know how you can,
I don't know
Yeah.
how you can.
So I thought Jan wanted this originally, no?
Wrong one.
Jan originally had brought it up mid-year, and we tabled it for the same reasons, same concerns.
Right.
When you start saying that you want event organizers to ensure compliance, like you're making event organizers be like policemen.
I don't know, I don't know how an event organizer could be responsible for anybody within 500
500
feet of their
feet.
event.
It definitely needs work in the park committee or whoever wants to get behind it to
I'll just say this. Last year, I was at an event at the 4th of July fireworks that was held at the event center, and I just was, we'd already talked about this, so I was just paying close attention to the people around Riverside Park and the people on Riverside Drive. And every family, every yard, they had like their own little gig going on, and they were all doing fireworks. I mean, I'm not going to be the person to go tell those people they can't have their family over and have some sparklers, like, no thanks.
that's another definition of the problem. What is a firework?
Yeah, right.
This 500 feet, I brought the wrong, Jay, goes up High Street and on the north side of North Street. That's how much it covers, which is a,
Fuck, I
and
mean,
then you have to go to the east side and the west side. And if the ordinance is going to say for parks, if there's something going on, like per se at Dunwoody Park, are you going to say they can't do it either? So now you're coming another 500 feet west and once again down High Street. So you're going to tell a lot of people, no, I don't think so.
right? Man, I think at this point, this just needs to be tabled, and I'll get with Kelly, and, you know, I mean, I can't get behind it at this point.
My concerns. Chief, are there any non-legal fireworks right now that are considered not legal?
Well, I mean, like,
Come up to the mic, please. Sorry. I'm sorry.
like Councilwoman Walmsley brought up the point is, what are you gonna consider a firework? And,
Yeah.
if somebody's in their backyard with their 3-year-olds running around with sparklers, I mean, are you gonna go up there and tell them they can't have sparklers? You know, I mean, that would be, in my mind, a firework, in a sense, but, you
My
know.
concern was like the little 6-inch mortar that goes
Yeah.
up when it goes off, it shakes everybody's house.
Right, yeah, that's a total different class of, yeah,
Yeah, I
There.
think that should be legal.
that could be, that would be concerning.
That upsets pets, veterans, combat
Yeah,
veterans, stuff
yeah.
like that, and that shouldn't be tolerated
Yeah,
to celebrate our independence.
right. So, yeah, I think the verbiage would have to be spelled out on what
Exactly.
classifications or what would be considered a non-compliant or illegal firework,
Okay.
so, yeah,
They sell a lot of explosive mortars, bombs, whatever.
yeah.
So would you have to classify each firework and put it in the ordinance? for
Yeah,
every-
I'm not sure how the state classifies or how those things are classified in the first place, really. I'd have to brush up on that, but,
Okay.
yeah, it would definitely have to be outlined on what was acceptable, what's not acceptable,
Yeah.
so.
I agree with you, Chris. I think this should be tabled and we'll see what
I
happens.
guess also figure out like who's pushing for this and then
Need to know
maybe they
who's
can
at-
do some work on it
Who's
too.
asking for this?
Be in jail for like, because people shooting bottle rockets off hitting little kids in the park, that's why they outlawed that.
Well, and then that needs to be stopped, obviously, like, that's not okay, the people.
That's against the current
Yeah.
ordinance, though. That's,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
People bring their own fireworks to the park and they light them off with no regard for anybody's safety.
and those people need to be asked to leave.
she did mention that, but, you know, that, they put up signs that say you can't bring your own fireworks and, you know, so that's a good start, but, you know, I'm sure we have some people patrolling the event at Riverside Park. You know, maybe we add a officer or two, like on foot,
Yeah.
you know, during the event.
Yeah, we've always responded to complaints like that. If somebody calls in and says, hey, the neighbors are shooting bottle rockets, which are veering off and going into the roof of our house,
Yeah.
things like that, we went there and confronted that and handled those type of situations.
As soon as you leave, they're lighting them again.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes, yeah,
I've seen that more and
yeah,
more.
unfortunately, yeah.
People who light off the mortars run in the house, and then they, cops drive by, then they come out and light it again.
Right.
You guys are gone.
Right.
I think at this point, we'll table it and I'll work on it, so. All right. Next
Thank
up's
you.
the trash ordinance. Let Randy give an overview.
Basically, what this wants to do is we want to get this more in line with what is happening around the state and with the state guidelines. Right now, we have a 7-day process, and then we have a 14-day process, and it ends up being 30 to 40 days before we actually can get in and clean it up. This process will actually set it down to 10 days. We get scheduled to clean up within 10 days. It follows the unsafe as well, and it follows the state guidelines and what other people around the state are doing. So there's a few changes that we had. One, we wanted to have all fines and fees paid through the PD now. So that way Carrie doesn't have to get overwhelmed with what we got going in. Sandy can take care of that. Dave and I think we discussed, we have to increase our fine a little bit to cover the lien costs and stuff for putting these on,
Administrative costs, yeah.
because it takes more paperwork now to get a lien placed on there. So it's more of an administrative cost than anything for it.
Well, with regard to you wanting the money to go through the police department, which you had talked about before, I just was looking, when I read the paragraph about a repeat offender, that says all fines and penalties shall be remitted to the Logansport Clerk Treasurer's Office within 30 days.
I think Kelly had sent that to me, and I got that revised. There's an updated version. It's completely,
Jake, you get that
Yeah.
fixed?
yeah,
It's supposed to be, please.
yeah, it will all go to the police department.
Okay, and on that same page, in the paragraph that says, in addition, notification and other occupies, you want to say that word should be occupants. And then the paragraph about location of containers, you want to use the word hanger, Hanger, that's misspelled twice in that paragraph. If you want this, I have it all marked.
I can fix those real quick.
Yeah, but I just have them marked on my copy if you'd like to have it.
I can do a real quick proof and fix them myself when I get back there.
Okay.
I mean, other than that, and then putting the funds that come in, of course, the MHV or MVH funds for cleanups, and then to do a 50/50 with into the unsafe and then into the clerk's general fund. Reason being is I talked to Dave about it. We had a code enforcement roundtable in October, and we met with about 14 other cities. A lot of the cities are going to this where they establish a fund that code enforcement can use out of to help with some problem properties. So whereas right now, one load to the dump for us, for one truck, is $228. Well, if we could set up a way to use some of the funds that come in to buy a dumpster or rent a dumpster for that family at, say, half of it, a dumpster runs about $350. So we could save them some money, get that cleaned up at the same time, and then they still have to pay their other fines, but in the same sense, we can still get the process of what we want done. We want to get compliance. So if there's a way we could do that, feeding back into that at the same time, so have a continuous cycle coming in and out, so we're working on that.
The only other concern I had, Randy, and, you and I have been through this, and I sat in those meetings with you that day, with all the other people. This greatly reduces the amount of mailings they have to do, the certified mailings, so the cost to them is going to be reduced, the time is going to be reduced, because, the neighbors, that's always the big thing. I think that Randy's not doing anything because he had to do the 7-day notice, then the other notice. There might be a month gap in there before he could do the work. But up there at the top, the whereases and stuff, when you did ordinance 2022-20, that replaced the ordinance you're citing up here.
Kelly and I had already talked about it. That's why that was still highlighted on there, because I didn't know.
Just wanted to make sure.
Whereas what needed to be changed and repealed and all that stuff, so.
Being repealed.
Yeah, so.
Very good.
So we got all that in there as well, so.
Okay.
And I think I had mentioned this one other time, but the door hangers, that I really think they should be in 2 languages.
Well, the problem with that though is our letters right now are only in 1 language. But we do have a QR code on every letter. They can go to the city's website where they can get to the translate button and translate it to any language they need. That was, the issue of doing that is the cost for the printing is ridiculous for those door hangers. Where this was going to simplify it, because we actually are in the process right now of being able to get a thermal printer for inside our vehicles. So that way with our tablets, we're there, we take the pictures of it, we do everything, we do the letter right there. That letter is the door hanger. Print it up, it's on there. That's the notice. That is the first notice.
The letter with the scan code on it?
It has a QR code on those letters.
Well, how do they know what that QR code is for?
And I understand.
We
what
would
you're
say
saying,
in there that
it
it-
might solve their
You're going to,
miscommunication.
so in your letter, you'll say,
Right, well, we put all the information in the letter anyway in English. But we also have a QR code on there that goes to the city's website, to the code enforcement page.
I know, I'm asking you, if in your letter, do you tell them the purpose of the QR code?
Yes.
Okay.
In English.
What?
In English.
Right, but if I spoke a different language and I couldn't read it, I would have someone interpret it for me, and then I would know what to do. They're used to that, Haley.
We have several that come in and they don't speak English or don't understand what the letters are, and we walk them through the entire process when they come in. The biggest thing is if we can get them to come in and communicate with us, we'll work with them. We show them how to use that QR code, how to use the translate button as well on the city's website. The whole thing of this would vastly make our process more efficient, where we can actually get more accomplished, not 30 to 40 days before we can get something actually done.
You can spend more time out on the street and
Yeah.
less time.
Less time, yeah.
So is it an actual door hanger, or it's a thermal thing that you're printing off and taping to the door?
That is going to be the actual letter itself is what we
So
will
it's
be
not like
taping.
a door hanger, like I'm thinking of like the things that you hang on the hotel.
Yeah, those are our door hangers now. What we're going to change to these, if this goes through, is our letters will be the door hanger. It will
Okay,
actually have a big notice across the top of it, and it spells it out on there, and it'll be taped right to the door.
okay.
And if it's not owner occupied, we will send a letter out to that person, so the owners are aware of it. So for the rentals and stuff like contracts or whatever. But for the most part, if it's owner occupied, they'll get the one letter, that'll be it. And they get 10 days to take care of the problem.
Ellie, you've looked over this. I know you were working with Randy, so you're good with everything?
Yes. It's, none of them are perfect, but
Now, will this need 2 readings?
Yeah.
will it need public notice or anything? Because aren't we changing some fines?
Yeah, we'll have to have the 30-day notice after it's actually passed.
If there's passed, okay. So do we want to try it in December to get this done, so first of the year?
Have the second meeting, we'll
We'll
go
do
ahead
it.
and do the second,
Okay.
or we'll do it then.
Okay.
If we don't look, I assume we're gonna have to, about every year, we end up having things that need to be done for the end of the year, so we'll get it done for the end of the year so they can get the public notice out.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for all your work. All right, everybody got a copy via email of the proposed holiday schedule. Were there any questions?
There's too many days on there.
Pardon?
I feel like there's too many days on there.
Is it the same as
It's the
last?
same number as last year. It's, we had 15 last year, there's 15 on there this year.
We took off some last year, right?
I think they started out with 16 or 17 last year.
Took two off last
Off like
year.
those floating
Yeah,
ones or something.
13 from last year.
Pardon?
13.
Is that what I sent you?
Now, this is the packet that we approved on December 18th to 24 for the 25 handbook.
Copy I have showed 15 that I sent to you, and I got that out of I'm not sure where, I don't have it written down where I got it from, but I'm going to assume it came off of a resolution that we wrote. I know when we met last year, we made some changes to it and ended up with 15 days.
We took off those floating ones, I'm pretty sure.
Because they started out, I think the county gave their employees like 18 or 19 days last year, and we reduced it. But it used to be they had 13 days and 3 floaters. But that's been a couple years ago. The floaters were done away with last year.
And these are all days that the bank's closed, and that's, or a lot of, I thought that was the reason that,
It's pretty much, I mean,
Pretty much
if you
most
look
of
at them,
them.
they're almost
Most
a
of them.
carbon copy of the year before.
okay.
I'm looking now, and I don't really see any changes, other than,
And what days?
yeah, it's actually the exact same dates as it was last year. Just,
Well, this one says it's new, it's not then?
well, that was last year,
Taking Christmas
Juneteenth.
Eve, you're taking
Oh, okay.
Christmas and the day after Christmas.
Here, the 28th.
So,
I think that's just a typo, it should be the 26th.
What's that? I didn't hear what he said.
Ask him which days he
So, like,
thinks should be removed.
Yeah, like you've got Christmas Eve, you've got Christmas, and then the day after Christmas off? And then like Columbus Day. I don't know, I just feel like that's an awful lot of days.
Who gets 3 days off for Christmas?
Not me, I'm working
Usually
Christmas
it's
Eve.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Well, I think that started.
Why we're here to discuss what we want to do.
I think the way that started is that Christmas Day fell on a Thursday, and so you had Wednesday, Thursday, and then you had to go back to work on Friday. So we talked about this last year. This came up last year.
Last year, the day after Christmas was the 26th, it was a Friday.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It was a Friday, and that's why it came up. What day is Christmas Day this year?
Christmas is on Friday this
So then
year.
it's Monday would be the day after Christmas.
I mean, if council wants
Why
to
do you need the
eliminate that
28th
day, it
off?
can be eliminated. It's whatever,
I say take it off and give us Halloween.
help you put up gravestones.
Yeah, Dave.
I'm fine taking off Monday, the 28th.
And, suggestion, if it's Thursday, Friday, then the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that's almost a week. The city's office is gonna be closed for almost a week on Christmas.
Hey, I'm here to, it's in front of us. If that's what the majority wants to do, I'm fine with that. Eliminate it or leave it.
Well, I mean, maybe it could be like a year-by-year basis, like how last year it was, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday made sense. the
Yeah,
Monday
that's what I think
after
too.
is-
I think if the day after Christmas is Friday,
Or, I mean, during the week at all, I mean,
Yeah.
consecutive.
well, but if Christmas was on Tuesday, or it was on Wednesday, I wouldn't give you Thursday off at the day after Christmas, and then you still have to go back to work on Friday. I think the rule should be, if Christmas Day is on a Thursday, then you could have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. But, you know,
I think Cam's made the suggestion to eliminate Monday, the 28th, is that this?
I'll go with that.
I feel that's redundant.
You're getting Saturday and Sunday off.
Why do you
and then,
need,
You know, they can come back to work Monday, but I like her idea going by a year by year base.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's the way the handbook says we set the holiday schedule yearly.
Oh, just conversation.
I also think that, with these holidays, I do think they coincide with other businesses and them being closed, like federal holidays. And I do think we should recognize federal holidays, and if the banks are closed or the courthouse is closed, I think we should, do that. But I do agree that Monday, December 28th, that's stretching it.
I mean, that number of 15, is that just random? I mean,
It used to be 13 holidays and 3 floaters, and it was 15 days last year with no floaters. It's up to you, Chris, you're running it.
Are these the actual days? Are there any floaters included that we're not saying?
no, we took the floaters away last year. So we're gonna take Monday, the 28th off, is that what we're wanting to do?
I agree.
mean,
I
it's-
agree, yeah. Okay.
And the rest are fine?
So there'd be 14 holidays
14.
next year.
All right, that's how we'll move it forward. All right. Up next is the council, the committee assignments for us as a council, as well as, I think, our council appointments throughout various boards. As far as our committees, is anybody wanting to change the committees? Do we want to stick with what we got, where we've been for the term? That's open. I'm good with leaving them where we're at, but, I mean, that's up to us as a majority to make that decision.
I agree with leaving them where they are, because I think that we're truly well, not Dave, but, and maybe not Scott, but we're just settling in and learning how to do a good job at what we're doing. That's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm familiar with everything that comes at me now, with regard to the boards that I'm on, the seats that I have, and I prefer to just leave it where we are, because basically we're just getting good at it. And, I mean, if you don't like where you are, you want to try something different, maybe we could switch it up, but I personally am happy with where I'm at and the job that I'm doing.
Cam, what do you think?
I don't care.
Scott?
I don't think it matters at this point.
BJ? Haley? Dave? All right, as far as the council president, is there anybody that wants to be nominated? Or anybody want to nominate somebody?
Okay.
I nominate Dave.
Susie?
Anybody else?
Still wants to do it.
Can.
Fine with moving forward with Dave as our president for the next 2 years? All right. Dave, I haven't had a chance to look through the other appointments. You want to take those?
Yeah, I can tell you what we have. There's a few of them down there. I'm currently on the Cleto board with Bill and several business owners and the mayor. I'd prefer to stay on that if you guys don't mind. Those meetings are typically at 8 o'clock in the morning unless somebody, and they're usually quarterly. Just kind of an update on what's going around. And Planning Commission is year to year, and we assigned Scott on there. Scott, you want to stay on the Planning Commission?
How often does that meet?
Depends on the agenda, I think.
When there's something to discuss, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not every month.
So we need to, we want to reach out to Greg and Jackson and find out if they're okay with staying on, or?
How do you want me
I
to
can,
ask?
that's fine.
Okay. Because those are yearly, aren't they, Aaron? Yeah. And they have to be utility. We need at least one utility? Huh? Oh, okay. Then our TIF board, we got Mike McCord on there. I'm certain that he'd stay on. But we do have an open seat on there. So if anyone has any names, maybe.
Is that Bob Dunderman since he retired?
Pardon?
Is that Bob Dunderman since he retired?
Bob Dunderman was on there, and he resigned to go to the Utility Service Board. And Malcolm took over for him last November, and Malcolm's resigned, effective, I think, already, isn't it, Bill? Or to the end of the year?
Staying on for the end of the year.
End of the year, so we're looking for another member to put on there. Has to be a resident of the city of Logansport.
TIF board do.
A lot.
It's RDC, right?
They govern all the TIF areas in the local sport. There's about 6 of them. Every TIF area captures a tax, and they govern the funding of it. So I go to them for 95% of the things and maybe come to you guys for 5%, just because they got a little more money at this point in time. And that's what they have to use it for, redevelopment of certain areas. So we have the industrial park, we have downtown, we have what we call consolidated, which is, it meanders through town, which takes in the east end of town, 18th Street, Water Street. And then we have the mall, we have the new hotel. So when groups in the area, like the industrial park, pay their taxes, it stays in that area, and you have to use it for road improvements or incentives or infrastructure issues. They get about $2 million a year in revenue. And Mike McCord, John Michael Price, Jeff Todd, Suzanne Chilcutt, Tim Carson, and whoever your new appointee would be. You have 3 and the mayor has, no, you have 2 and the mayor has 3 appointees.
So
Looking for somebody.
RDC, just different name, I mean.
I didn't know what the TIF board was.
Yes, RDC,
At
redevelopment.
RDC, then I would have known.
I'm sorry. If I had just said, yeah, all that for nothing.
Yeah, but we were kind of hoping, I mean, we have guys, different people on there that are kind of experts in different fields, and we were kind of, maybe has some environmental background or somebody that has some construction background to maybe complement the people that are already on there. But one of the difficult things is they have to live within the city of Logansport. So if you come up with a good name,
So is Mike McCord our?
he's one of
is he
our,
our-
yes.
It's our appointment? And so now we need one more.
Yes.
And they have to live in the city of Logansport.
11 o'clock on the last Wednesday of the month.
Currently, you have Mike McCord and Malcolm. Malcolm's going off, so you need to reappoint Mike McCord, and then they get a new one to replace Malcolm.
11 o'clock, the last Wednesday of the month?
Correct.
And now and then other times. but
Special
that's
meetings.
The majority of the time. So.
Mike McCord's kind of like the Dave Morris of that group. I mean, he's putting, not that you guys aren't putting it in, but he's putting some time into it, and he does a very good job. He's a very valuable member of it.
I think he's very right.
See, in the last appointment, we've got Susie's on the solid waste.
Oh, yeah, like I said, they only meet every quarter, and I'm just getting my feet on the ground, so let me stay.
Okay. Nope, you're good.
Appointment to the BZA, and that Jeff Key, and his term runs out the end of this year. I go to church with him, and he mentioned it to me the other day. I didn't know he was getting ready to go off.
Who is it?
Jeff Key, that he'd be interested in staying on, so that's a decision the board needs to make, council needs to make. Jeff Key, those are 4-year terms typically. They run, his ran.
He's interested in staying on, you say? Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a recent meeting, I've been to 2 meetings actually, and I thought he does a nice job.
Someone new, though?
Discussion.
Buddy,
What'd you say?
What'd you
I
say?
didn't hear what you said. Well, if you can come up with a suggestion, and then we can vote on it.
City also?
Does he have to be a resident of the city, our appointment for the BZA? Yes.
Be representative of the jurisdiction, so.
Yeah.
Can be the city, but it can't be an elected or appointed position. Anybody that has elected or appointed.
Okay. No.
that one then? Do you have somebody in mind? Okay. Okay.
Last board that we have members on is the Industrial Park Board, at least that's the last one I have written down. And Mike Murray's on there till the end of '26. They're 3-year terms, and Jim Bauer, we just reappointed him last year, so he's on there till the end of 2027.
How many appointments do we have on that?
Those two.
Those two. Yeah.
So we don't need to do anything? Okay.
Okay. Good with moving everything forward, except we'll wait on BJ. All right, we'll move on to the unsafe property ordinance, the revisions. Kelly? You're familiar with that one?
Go for it, Kelly. You want to present? Oh.
Well,
You can. I'm fine with that.
on that one? Okay.
So I know Kelly made a few changes to it, but in general terms, it's basically what was presented the last time we met. We tabled it to have more discussion and Kelly to review it. But it basically adopts that the planning department, building commissioner, fire inspector, and code enforcement and health officials can come to the enforcement body, which is the Board of Works, to deem a property unsafe or a building unsafe, which then either they come in compliance or they can be fined and it put on their property taxes. They're also allowed to clean up or secure properties, and that labor and materials can also be put on the property taxes. This is a state law, so it's basically just a general ordinance adopting, saying those departments would follow the state law.
Do we have a list of vacant and unsafe properties?
That would be a Rob and unsafe properties is yours. They have building.
Okay, well, I would like,
This would be kind of like the unsafe, so trash, vehicles, those can all be considered unsafe properties too.
no, I'm just interested in looking at a list of the buildings that are vacant or unsafe, if we have a list of them.
Yeah, that would be the building commissioner.
So I just asked Rob
Yeah.
about that. Unsafe building list.
That's another ordinance, a separate, distinct.
Yeah, like the condemned ones versus, but Rob operates under the state law currently. It's just adopted already for his building department. It's not adopted for the rest of us.
So the second whereas statutes is misspelled in the second line. In section 2, it should say that the unsafe buildings and premises shall be governed. The word "be" is left out, shall be governed.
You have the latest version, don't you, Kelly?
You can just have it, so statutes is misspelled.
It's when section 8, it says adopts the fives instead of fines.
I don't know, Kelly had updated it, so I don't have this version. I mean, I got sent it, but I didn't review it for edits.
I know, I was reading this about 5 o'clock before coming here.
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay. I don't know what the heck that was, the 5. Like the copy we worked off of.
Any other questions?
Now, does this have the code in it that talks about nuisance properties and stuff?
Yep.
Yes, okay.
So the state law states, I don't have the 5 in front of me, but there's about 5, usually operating under fire safety, public nuisance. Those are my 2 that I usually remember, the other ones I don't, but there's 5 different things that you can classify as structure or property under to determine whether or not you can use the unsafe. A lot of things of our ordinances for the city can be considered a public nuisance, as though we usually get calls from neighbors that are concerning of other properties, so they would be, the enforcement body would be able to use that as.
Word in the last section, 5 should be fine. F-I-N-E.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to know that didn't
I'm
make
real good
any.
with my handwriting yet.
That's okay, I just like it to be right.
Is everybody good with moving this forward?
Yes,
We'll do the
Time?
grammar and whatnot.
okay.
All right, next up is the vacant property revisions.
So I do have to find out what our original ordinance was to put in there. That's what that space is missing. But basically, there's already a vacant property ordinance that we have. I have strike-throughs where we would be removing and underlines where we would be adding. What has happened is I work with Logan's Landing, and they want to do some more tweaks to this to kind of get people to move on some properties that are downtown that have been held for many years. They have right now probably about 5 on their radar, but there's been a little bit of confusion in some parts and not as much teeth, we were thinking. This would operate actually under the unsafe, so basically the vacant ordinance prohibiting any blight and other concerns, buildings falling down and those type of things, by determining them vacant before you hope to not get it to the unsafe. So it does regulate, or it does reference that code for any fines and penalties of such. So basically, I'll just walk through the ordinance. If you have questions at any time, you can stop me, and you can edit my ordinance later and let me know where I've missed stuff. So 30 days or more, we just had a certain length of time, basically stating that if it's vacant for 30 days, we would be able to have them register at a vacant building. Downtown, we define as between Eel and Wabash River, 8th Street, both sides to the confluence of the river. The reason why we did that is there's a specific section just talking about that area. And enforcement officers, we added the planning department. One of the reasons is we do define if it's not a use that's allowed for that district.
The bottom of the first page there, is that supposed to be road?
Is what?
Down to the bottom, the downtown Logansport shall mean the area,
Yeah,
both sides of the,
I'm sure she had it for later. B. Well, I mean, we can say mean the area. I don't care how do you want to state it.
I didn't have any preference, it was just, it didn't make sense about the road, but I thought maybe rivers.
It's 8th Street on both sides of the road, so it's both edges of the road. Instead of just, because we say 8th Street, then you don't,
East and west sides of.
Yes.
8th Street.
yeah, so that you want to write it as that instead? I don't care. On the east and west side of 8th Street? Okay. So the planning department, someone from our department could also be an enforcement officer due to some language later on in this that talks about if the use isn't allowed for that district, it would still be considered vacant because it's not something that's supposed to be happening there. And then property manager, I will say, when we went through this, we talked with some business owners and or property owners in downtown. We talked with the EV group of Logan's Landing, and then we did talk to some of the officials that operate this as well, so that everybody kind of had a say. And one of the things that was brought up is that they would like where the property manager be residing within 30 miles of Logansport and reach 24/7. We have had instances where it's hard to get a hold of that manager, or they're not available to fix things that need to be fixed, so. The biggest changes are here in the meaning of vacant. We changed it to 30 days as stated before. Then we have sale or lease by an Indiana licensed real estate person is, that they can be that. And then the section here at the bottom, property is also considered vacant if the use is not allowed by the zoning ordinance, so that's what I was talking about previously. Definition of vacant in relationship to downtown Logansport deals with the vacancy of the first floor along the right-of-ways and sidewalk. Buildings with occupancies on the second floor and up and/or to the back of the first floor shall still be considered vacant. So if they don't have something in the front of the store, we would still consider it vacant, because our whole purpose in downtown is to try to fill the storefronts along the street. So we don't really care about the second story at this time. If that's vacant, that's fine. But we've had in the past where there might be one little small apartment, but the whole building looks vacant because that apartment's in the back or on the second story. So we're trying to really fill the storefronts in downtown. And so that's basically what that's talking about. If the second floor, like I said, is not occupied, it's fine. We wouldn't consider it vacant at that time. We also want to make sure a viable business is provided. So that viable business not only has to be allowed in that district, but we would also want signage and hours of operation to be posted to not be considered vacant. We've had people before say, well, this is a storage business and they don't have hours of anything. Storage isn't actually even allowed, and they don't even have signage that it's a business. They're just holding their stuff there. They're just trying to get out of the vacant property. So we're trying to be defining this a little bit better. Also in storefronts, if used as extension of a business, a storefront must be displayed as a typical business to create visible interest to appear occupied. So there's some people in downtown that have a business but then have the store next to them and they use it maybe as storage. We're just asking that there's be some display or interest point, not just a bunch of clutter that looks like the property's vacant. Any questions on that? On the next page, if the property is determined to be vacant, is in the process of being repaired and has appropriate permits and listed for sale or lease, the enforcement officer may waive the registration fee. So we want you to move forward, we want you to sell, we want you to lease it, we want you to work through it. What we have found is that in some cases, they put it for sale but then never accept an offer, or they have it for lease or sale out of the price range of what that would actually sell for, or someone be able to get a loan for. So we put some additional standards in here. One is that if you are required to get a permit, you would have to get a permit within 30 days of the initial notice. So if you're doing repairs, we want you, and not want to pay that registration fee, we want you to pull that permit and start working on it. You would have also a year to work on that property. If you want to extend past that year, we would ask you to go to the enforcement body, which we have stated before would be the Board of Works, to extend that limit. So it's not just the officer. They would actually have to come to a board and present a plan and have a reasoning why they couldn't do it within that year. If the repair work should stop more than 60 days, we would also require you to pay the registration cost. That's something that, what happens is we've seen people pull a permit so that they don't have to pay the registration fee and then they never work on it. They just pulled the permit to have the permit in hand. Again, I talked about the additional time. That doesn't mean that registration fee is removed. That would be up to the enforcement body on whether or not, with the additional time, if they have to pay the registration fee or not. On B, any piece of real property that is actively listed for sale or lease not to exceed 60 days. Again, we understand that you may not sell it or have it leased in 60 days. We will extend your time, or the enforcement officer can extend the time up to 120 days. After that, you would go to the enforcement body. The reasoning here is, again, like I was saying, people price point it out because they really just want to keep it as storage, so they don't really want to rent it out, but to try not to pay that registration fee, they try to go around it. So this would be going to that enforcement body in that hearing, or that meeting, to establish why, and maybe even prove that, yes, I'm in the right price range or not, and then the enforcement body would say, okay, you can have additional time. We also added owner provide $500,000 minimum liability policy if they are on the vacant property list, if they're commercial, and $250,000 minimum liability policy for residential. These would also be provided from the enforcement officer to the policyholder to make sure that the insurance company does know that this is also on our vacant list. And then if they are canceling it, they would have to notify us. On the next page, if the property is a local historic designation, the Historic Preservation Commission can petition the enforcement body to ask for proper maintenance and fines to be ensure the safety of the historic structure. So right now, they review anything exterior, but they have no maintenance ability or making sure it's getting done. So this is their opportunity. They review all local designations to be able to go in front of the enforcement body to move it forward, even if the officers, the enforcement officer currently isn't bringing it forward. The $100 first year semi-annually, that was just better defining that. The biggest change is for downtown on B. We would be adding registration fees of $1,500 semi-annually for the first year, $3,000 semi-annually for the second year, and $4,500 semi-annually for the third year and each year after. Putting a little more stringency on getting people to move on that. One of the discussions was, what if they pay this? If they pay it and keep it vacant, they're allowed to do that. It's a registration fee to be on our registration so that we know it's vacant in case we want to do any inspections or reviews. Then financial penalties, as I stated before, vacant property is kind of under that unsafe property. So the civil penalties that could be put on this where they don't register or they don't follow any of these rules, we could put a fine on them. It would be $2,500 within the first 60 days, up to an additional $1,000 every 90 days, and that is referenced in the state code for an unsafe property. That is then put on their property taxes. So those are the changes that were recommended with multiple different groups wanting to move this forward. To just add a few of those are things just to clarify for the whole city, but most of that is for downtown specifically.
Additional questions? Everybody, oh, go ahead.
And you said that you were going to send letters to the people that this affects.
Yeah, so,
Reading.
yep, so after this, if you guys move it forward, Logan's Landing does have an email listserv that they would be sending it out to, and then their top priority buildings, we would also inform them about this.
You also said in here about residentials. Are we going to go after those?
It's already on your vacant property currently today.
There's quite a few in this town that look the same way for the past year and a half, 2 years. Nothing's
Yes.
done.
So this has been operated through the rental inspector. So I don't know where he's at on that, or if he has a list of those, and they're paying. They may just be paying and they are still vacant. As long as you're paying your registration fee, you can stay vacant. You just have to pay that registration fee so that we have it on our list to know that no one's in there, so that we know that maybe over 5 years, we need to go make sure the roof's okay, or there's electricity on and heat, whatever. So it's just a registration for them. I don't know if that's how he's operating residential. So it may not be that they're working on them. It may just be that they're vacant and they're paying the registration fee. You would have to ask Christian on that. But that's currently already in the ordinance for residential. The only thing we added was the liability for them. If you're vacant, we want to make sure you have insurance on the building.
Registration fee go for?
So, because this is through the unsafe, if we do the fines, it would go through the non-reverting unsafe that you have. But we also talked about, we could also put the other, registration, currently it goes in your general fund. But we were talking about, is that something that we want to go in the unsafe as well? And then budget out of there, maybe some to help properties. I know that Rob's had some that maybe are unsafe properties because they don't have the money to fix the window or the siding or those type of things. And so is that something that pool of funds could be used for that? And maybe making these from vacant to occupied. That's kind of what the discussion's been.
You have a problem with changing the language to like that unsafe building statute has that language about who, that you're requiring, we have adopted that as to who are parties of interest in it.
I mean, we would, vacant to send it to the vacant people.
Yeah. I mean,
Of
any of
any
those
notices
notices
interested in?
go to the interested parties. 'Cause
I don't think at this time, we can. My understanding a little bit is vacant is just a registration. If it becomes a problem, that's when we're doing unsafe and we would notify that we're finding people that are not registering and then we would have to let all the interested parties know. But if you would like us to have it where even if you're supposed to register, we also letting interested parties know, I mean, that's up to you guys.
It's sort of like that was a stab that you were making at it under owner, in that definition.
Yeah, I mean, because this was based off somewhat of the unsafe. So, I mean, it mirrors it similar, right, correct. I'm not sure how Christian, what I did say with to Christian when we met is that we could sit down and actually lay out an application and process and kind of a booklet for people. We talked about giving it to realtors so that anybody that's buying a property would also know that we have this ordinance in place and those type of things. So we've talked about, like, if it gets changed, that we would make sure we have something that we can pass out.
How do you collect this money?
It would be, so the registration fee is just, they would pay in the clerk treasurer's office. If they don't pay that registration fee and we fine them because they're not meeting the ordinance, that would be on their property taxes.
But you don't know that they're going to pay their property taxes either.
No, but that is the easiest way to collect money on anything that we have. That's the same thing with unsafe. That's our easiest way. It's not a mechanical lien. It's actually on the property taxes. So over the years, if they don't pay their property taxes, then it goes up to tax sale. Even in that, if they pay a portion of their taxes, there's a percentage that's paid on their, in essence, lien. So it's not like a mechanical lien. It's actually on the property taxes.
Well, mechanical lien would be resolved also if you sold your property.
If you sold,
So-
but this isn't done, this would be done even if you own the property for 20 years.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm real interested in looking at a list of vacant houses and vacant buildings in Logansport, so I don't know if anybody else is interested in that, but I'll be getting that list.
And the vacant property should be
Share
with
it with
Christian.
everyone.
What?
Just share it with everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just send it to us.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Does it also tell you who the owners are?
On the vacant property list, I'm not sure how he has it. I would assume so, because you
'cause I'm
have to inform the owner.
Yeah, I want both. I don't want just the addresses. I want to know who the owners are also. Okay,
Yeah, that would be something Christian would have.
okay.
Anything else? Everybody good with moving this forward?
Yes.
All right, we'll move it forward to council. 6:41, I will close the Rules Committee meeting.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right. Sean, you've been patiently waiting. Come on up. I will start the finance meeting at 6:42. We have a transfer request by the police department. Explain to them what the request is all about, Sean.
Yeah, basically, throughout the year, we calculated up comp time and looked at, how we could lower those numbers so we don't carry them into next year. Obviously, this was kind of a tough year with a lot of guys working overtime, getting comp time to shift coverage, training, so on and so forth. So we didn't have a lot that were really high, up in the 200s, maybe 4 or 5. But predominantly, they were down below, most were below 100. But if we buy that back, then we're able to go into next year, 2026, with everybody pretty much under 100 or even under 50 or less to get there. So my request is we had a list of the amount of people that wanted to buy it back or sell it to get it bought back, and that totaled $56,864. And then talking with Robin, because that comes out of our overtime line item, we had a deficit of $15,476.29. So, and talking with Dave and BJ, we talked about putting some extra in there just in case we have extra coverage that needs to be done between now and the end of the year, which fortunately we did. We just found out today that one of our sergeants just got called up on orders for the National Guard. So he's going to be gone anywhere from a minimum of 120 days all the way up to possibly a full 6 months on orders with the Guard. So we had looked at carrying over 10,000 extra to cover us through the end of the year, which basically put us at a total of $82,340.29. I'd asked to take that out of our patrolman line item, move it to the overtime line item, so that we could buy that comp time back and have that cushion in our overtime for between now and the end of the year.
John, can you send me the list and I can disseminate it to these guys of the people
Sure.
getting buyback?
Sure, yeah.
And the reason that we have to approve a transfer like this is because their overtime is paid out of the lit fund and their regular salaries are paid out of the general fund. So they're transferring money out of the general fund, the patrolman line item, since they're short on patrolmen right now, to cover the deficit in the overtime.
So you're basically, because don't have enough police officers and we have the money budgeted for their salaries, you're just taking the money out of the patrolman line item to cover the overtime for the people who are working to make up for the people that we don't have.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like he said, he's figured till the end of the year so that we hopefully have enough covered for the rest of '25.
I'd like to know how many, how's your application process going? Do you have people that are you working on getting patrolmen to replace the people who have left?
Yeah, so we have 3 in the academy that's about ready to graduate at the end of this year. And then when they come back January, they'll have to finish out probably maybe another 30 days in the FTO program. And then we're hoping by February, then they'll be on their own and be able to fill in the holes where we're at on patrol. We had 1 new hire on Wednesday, Nathan Lowry. So we're starting his process. Luckily, he just got accepted into the academy to start January 5th. So that really helps us to get him going. And then our current application process, from what I understand, to talking with Sergeant Rob Smith, he's kind of in the head of the pension board, is that we've had, I think at least, I want to say 5 to 8 applicants maybe for this new process that we're going through right now.
Pension board interviews the applicants.
Yes, yes.
So how many patrolmen are we missing right now?
Right now, we are missing, I want to say 6 patrolmen, I believe.
Okay, so you're missing 6, you got 3 coming in January, should be on their own in February. So that puts you down to 3, and then you have one more person, so that's going to put you down to 2.
Yeah, so, yeah, and again, we're losing Codem, so we're going to have coverage for that. But, yeah, right now, as it stands, we're at 32 total officers, and then 33 with Lowry, but we don't really count him until he gets put in the academy, so.
Who's going to the National Guard? Is that Cody?
Sergeant Codem.
Shoot, darn it, okay.
Questions? Everyone okay with moving this transfer forward?
I'm good.
Sean?
Thanks, Sean.
That really is all I had, just a couple notes. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, we've been hounding the insurance company for premiums so that we can set the cost to employees for 2026. They have open season, I believe, starting, even though they don't have, it looks as though we can probably hold the premiums pretty close to what they are now, if not the same. But till we get those numbers for sure. We met with them, they've got the dental division all figured out, but still waiting on one piece of the health insurance part.
You say that we've met with them, who is that?
It was Tyler, myself, Lorian, Hannah in HR, and am I missing anybody, Tyler? I think that was it.
You didn't have either administrator attending these meetings about health
Not
insurance
this one,
for-
Jacob has been at some in the past, but he wasn't at the last one,
Has Chris been at any?
not that I'm. Anyway, so we may need, like I said, to hold a special meeting to get those premiums passed before the end of the year, because January 1st is actually the first pay period of 2026. It's, like I said, it's a weird year. There's actually 27 pay periods in 2026. So Lorian needs those numbers like yesterday to start getting everything in place.
Are you
The other thing was the
communicating
uniforms with Jan. We do have to make a line item adjustment for rental uniforms, so she said she's just going to hold off and do everything after first of the year because the clerk treasurer's office can't make that adjustment till the new budget takes effect. Can't add that line item till then, so that's where we're at with that. And that's all I have for now. I will close the finance meeting at 6:50.